Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? It's Chris with Life 180. I got my buddy Pete Foldis here with me, and we are just getting done with, well, it's the last day, full day of the Life 180 Mastermind. You've been here for a couple weeks now. We spent some time, we did a health and wellness retreat. He got to come down with his family, hang out, get a lot of growth, a lot of different things being covered. And then this week we had the Life 180 Mastermind here, and we had a lot of life insurance agents come down. And so the last week we've been talking a lot about helping agents build their business, right? And in that conversation of helping agents build their business, obviously it comes down to how do we serve our clients, our end clients, at the highest level we possibly can. What does that look like? And where's the balance between not selling and serving? Or, and how do you serve and make money without making it about the money, right? Like there's these, I guess, like opposite ends of the pendulum, so to speak, that I think people are concerned about. And so this is something that we've talked a lot about. And, so I'll start by saying this. One of the things that kind of kept coming up and kept being front and center of the conversation, both in the group settings, and then of course you and I have been speaking a lot about it, kind of sidebar conversations, I'll call them. Yeah. Lots of those. And in those conversations, really, and this is at the fundamental core of Life 180 and what we do, and it's one of the reasons that I'm excited you're here, because it's at the fundamental core of what you do, is if we really want to help people. And I think that one of the challenges is, like, everybody here at the Mastermind got into this business because they wanted to help, right? A lot of them worked with other organizations like World Financial Group, PHP, FFL, organizations like that, where they get in under the guise of self-development, self-growth, help change the world, all these things. And it ends up being a bit of lip service, right? And then when you get in there, you realize the culture isn't really about helping a lot of people. It might be about helping you achieve your goals and whatever, but it's, to me, it's a bunch of half-truths, if you will, right? And so I look at this and I say, all right, how do we truly help people and not go broke in the process? Because that's balance, right? Like, yeah. They say if the airplane's crashing, you got to put oxygen on you before you help the people around you, because you can't help anybody if you're not in good condition. And there's truth in that. And so my belief, and I know you feel the same way, is we really have to start holistically. Like when we talk with people about money, and most of the time, I have no problem. Like, I think we can't sell products. We have to serve and sell solutions, right? And in order to sell solutions, we can't sell anything until we know what solution people need, right? And
100%.
And we can't know what solution people need until we know that person at their core, right? And I think one of the challenges of this business, I don't care if you sell infinite banking, or if you do banking policies or cash flow banking policy, like whatever you want to call it, I don't care. If you sell term insurance, if you sell IUL even, like I'll just throw that into the mix, just because most people just don't know what they don't know about IUL, even the people selling it, right? Like, and people think they're doing the right thing. They're just selling a product. They're not really solving people's solutions or solving people's problems. And my mindset, like if I were talking to Pete and Pete were a client and Pete's trying to be like, hey, Chris, I just want an infinite banking policy. Like, what I'll say is maybe that's what you want. And at the end of the day, I don't feel comfortable ethically selling Pete that immediately, because of the fact that I don't know where Pete's at in life. I don't understand his core values. I don't understand his vision for his life. I don't understand like his mission for his life. And I don't know if Pete has ever really put much thought into that, right? Now, I know Pete has, but like most of the people that we talk to, what I realize is that they lack vision, right? And they haven't been intentional about, what do I actually want to create in this life? I get one life to live. What do I want to create? What do I want to leave? What do I want my life to be about? And so I think as advisors and coaches, agents, if you will, our job is to connect with people at a deeper level and inspire them and share vision with them and get them to visualize what they want out of their future. Because I think if we try to sell policies before we have that information ourselves and have that that intimate connection with them, we're not able to serve them at our highest level. I would say that that's the foundational component to it. And then B, like, I think our job, like with the information that we have, there's a responsibility with that. And most people don't know what they don't know, right? And it's impossible to make healthy decisions around your own life, around your money, around all the things, unless you have the right information, right? I believe most people are just doing the best they can with the information and the tools and the resources that they have access to. And so I think that's our first step, is to connect with people, get clarity on their core values, get clarity on their vision, get clarity on all that. And then from there, I think walking into a product, to figure out the solutions, because now we're looking at not what product are we selling, but what are the attributes of those products that are in alignment with the values and the vision, and like it can actually complete and plug the different holes for people. So what say you?
Well, it's a lot of thoughts going through my mind.
I see the wheels turning as I'm talking.
I was a part of one of those organizations when I first got licensed, and my whole reason of getting licensed was because I felt the same way as you. Let's get to the mountaintop, scream to the world what they don't know, because if I knew what I learned 25, 30 years ago when I was a kid making money, I feel like the projection of my life would have been different.
Sure.
I'm grateful that it wasn't, because I got to go through the hard things and learn it this way. But from an agent perspective, how possible is it to know someone's vision on a one-call close?
Oh my God. That's a great point. Yeah, and how many organizations right now, that's the focus, is teaching their agents how to close a lead in one hour or less phone call, if not 15-minute phone call.
And I feel like a bug just crawled down my back when you said close a lead. Because if we're closing a lead, all we're trying to do is sell them something.
Yeah.
And then the book of opportunities of what those products are so limited to whatever it is they have access to.
Yep.
And so they're just trying to find one pain point, and then make somebody feel worse about that pain point.
Yep.
And in a moment of weakness, sell them something that they can convert into income for themselves.
They do it well.
Listen,
it's manipulative as hell, but they do it well.
And it's possible, and in fact, I sadly can say I had plenty of one-call closes, but what happened with those relationships...
I've never done that, for the record.
Well, you don't know what you don't know, right? And when you're in a culture where that's what you're supposed to do, and that's what is the only thing you know, it's hard to say, oh, okay, well, what are the other options?
Yeah.
And so as you develop in this business, when your morality starts to sting you and you know there's something wrong with it, that's when you start to say, well, what is the other way? Yeah. How else can I serve people? And what happened with those clients, more often than not, one, forget about the chargebacks. You got clients that are still calling, clients that cancel, clients that ultimately don't have what they need because they didn't actually get served. Yeah. And so overall, when we talk about vision, why it's so important for an agent to have their vision is so they aren't sitting there selling from a place of scarcity. Totally. They're not sitting there trying to make a sale, they're trying to serve and being a person in service rather than a salesperson. And I think that delineation and that difference is so important, not just in this industry, but in any industry and really just in life, because, overall, money is something that's a tool.
Totally.
And we all need it to make progress. We all need it to eat. We all need it to have our basic human needs met. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a man-made tool to be able to create an idea around value. So what value are you adding to somebody's life when you're closing them as opposed to serving them? And that's really where you and I have aligned so much, and where our focus and our joint efforts to help bring agents up and build them up to really know what their vision and purpose is beyond making money. Because one day in this life, money won't matter. It won't be a place of focus. And if money's your motivator right now because that's something that you need and it's lacking in your world, once you get it, then what? What's going to motivate you? What's going to motivate your purpose? What's going to push you forward? What's going to ultimately be the thing that allows you to serve an ever-growing number of people? And the end result of that is having an ever-growing income source that allows you to keep building, keep creating edifices, keep creating opportunities like we have here to come and join people together, create a community, have retreats, learn, And really what you said in the beginning, last week's retreat built on health and wellness.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just money that's a basic human need, it's
Nope.
your health and wellness. If you're worried about your weight, your nutrition, your sleep, all of these things that they basically in these other organizations tell you to sacrifice, you know, or they just say, hey, wake up early and work out and exercise and, you know, get brute strength and then just know that you're an alpha. That's not quite the answer either, in my opinion. It doesn't quite lead to, you know, ultimately leadership. We talked about this before. Alpha wolves, they lead through fear.
Yeah.
But a dog leads through love and community. The reason why human beings love their dogs, love their animals, is because they have that compassion. They have that servitude in relationship. And so I'd rather be a dog than an alpha wolf every day.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I love it. I still, the dog and the wolf thing, it's great. It's great. It's great. I look at it, you said it, and what was going through my head is like people, when we look at money as a scarce resource, right? Then we make decisions scarcely, right? And I think, you know, most people are conditioned to think about money in a scarce way. We're trained to go to school, get a job, invest in a 401k, work for 40 years, retire, and hopefully have enough to maintain your standard of living and quality of life. And the challenge is with that hamster wheel that people are running off, when you hop off the hamster wheel and you probably worked for 40 years in a job, if you're like most Americans, that you don't like, if not you hate it, you know. Most people, I would say, don't love their work, you know, unfortunately. And so you get done and now there's not a whole lot of purpose, right? So you got to like re-find yourself and rebuild your purpose and values. And like, if that's the case and we're not being proactive about thinking about what does that look like? What do we want freedom to look like? Because, right, that's what we're doing. When we go to school, get a job, invest in a 401k, like the idea of retirement, that's financial freedom, quote unquote, right? That's the idea of like, I don't have to go to work. I have this, I've saved enough money. Maybe I have a pension, Social Security, you know, kicks in, and I've got enough money coming in, so I have freedom to live life on my terms. Problem is, people get there, and because you've spent 40 years being a robot or a sheep and working for other people and living their plans, right, and being a battery for their system, rather than creating your own source of energy in your own world and doing something intentionally. Now what happens is you get there and you're like, I don't know what to do. I gotta figure something out. And most people get lost in that. And I really feel like that plays significantly into the reason that people's health declines really quickly.
100%.
You know, I just look at it as, if you spend 40 years building a habit of not being intentional about living your own life, 40 years of work, not let alone, you know, earlier in your life in college and high school and growing up, you were probably taught these habits through your parents, right? Like all this stuff. And so if you spend, let's say, 50 years, you know, of your life living this way, it's almost impossible to think that you're going to reprogram yourself at that point in time. The time to reprogram yourself is now. You know, the idea is like, get off the hamster wheel. It might be harder, but start making intentional decisions right now about your money. Like, I look at it and it's like, we talk about the F's of life, right? Faith, family, fitness, which would be health, finance, and freedom. Like everybody wants, and we could throw all sorts of like friendship, you know, fun, you know, you could do all the sorts of F's, right? Like
all sorts of F's.
All sorts of F's we could do. Well, I focus on the 5 just because I think like we could take family and I kind of inject friends into family. Because you know me, like to me, you're family now. We're friends, but you're chosen family. Like I don't do trivial level friendships.
Yeah.
Right? It's either
those
deep,
are acquaintances.
They're acquaintances, right? And those aren't my priority in life. But when I get friendship, like brotherhood, and that's like chosen family. So to me, I lump that in with family, just so everybody's clear. Like anyone else would bust my chops on that. But when we look at this, I mean, how many people do we know that have financial freedom, financial success, wealth, richness? I won't call it wealth. I'll call it being rich, you know, with money. And yet they're slaves to their job. Maybe they're a C-suite level position making $500,000 a year. They've saved a lot of money. They've done well, made right investments, you know, net worth of $5-10 million plus. Yet they've been divorced once or twice.
Or 5 times.
Or 5 times. Bad relationships with their kids. They're overweight. Their hormone levels and glucose levels and everything are off the charts, right? And they're unhealthy.
Depression.
Like depression, all these things that kind of come into play. Is that really what we're after? Right?
Not me.
And it's so, and I think it's one of those things, like, we need to think of money, and I just look at this not as the resource that we're after for the sake of going after money, because once again, if we go after money like that, we think of money with this perspective of scarcity. And when you view money as a scarce resource, then the ripple effect is it doesn't have the ability to overflow to feed the other areas of your life. But when you look at money as an abundant resource and as a tool to serve the other areas of your life, to actually complete the other areas of your life, well, now what happens is there's always going to be a period of time where we got to hustle, where we got to put the time in, where you got to go make that money. But people get lost in that process. And if you join an organization, if you join a career, and it's about getting the 3 houses in different locations and buying the supercar and having the flash and having that lifestyle, and it's all me centric, you lose yourself in that process. And what happens is the idea of chasing that money, because you're thinking scarcely about it, because subconsciously you programmed yourself to do so, by the time you hit the success that maybe you're after, if you're fortunate to be one of the few that actually reach that level of success, what happens is you get there, you hit the level of success where you could start using this tool abundantly as a resource to feed your relationships, to feed your health, to feed your fitness, to feed your faith, to, tithe, do mission trips, do things that are fulfilling, that you're contributing to the world, create more value for other people, and like start the value creation cycle for yourself, right? Like, do these things. That's when you actually reach freedom. That's why I love doing the money talk with people, right? Because I truly believe that if we can help people wrap their minds, hearts, spirits around money and get that right, and they realize how to utilize it properly in alignment with their values and beliefs in these other areas, like, you can't really execute in all the other areas unless you get the money part right. That's just my belief.
No, it's so interesting. So we talk about the value creation cycle. And so if we accept the idea that money follows value,
yep,
and we also understand that money transfer always happens from those who value it less to those who value it more, in a particular transaction or an opportunity.
Sure.
Potentially in your life, if that's how you function, right? If you don't care about it. But if I'm going to purchase something from you, I'm going to exchange the value of my money for your service, because I value it more than how you value the service.
Sure.
And ultimately, your compensation is that money.
Yeah.
And so if we take that concept and we actually look at it from a standpoint of servitude and being able to add more value to people's lives with no expectation in return, what I found in my life is when I stopped thinking about money and I just started actually focusing on adding value to people's lives, all of a sudden my relationships increased, the value of my health increased, and the byproduct was ultimately more money in my bank account. And so when people are wondering, how is it that I can think about doing things of servitude without having money as the forefront of it, that would be my suggestion, is with no expectation in return, add value. And if you do that and you build that habit and you stack that habit over and over and over again, it's not just a one-off thing, it's not 1 week, 1 month, it's a way of life.
Yeah.
You'll start to see the residual return of that over and over and over again. And there's so many things that you just shared that ultimately, if people are wondering, how do I make the jump from living in a scarce mindset to being abundant, is really stop looking around you at all the people that have taught you how to be the way you are currently. Because that's
hard to do, by the way.
It's hard to do, and you laugh because typically if you're living that way, the 5 people around you that you spend the most time with are living that way too.
Yeah.
Right? And so really it ends up coming to a point of leveraging relationship, seeking out those that might know what you don't and trying to learn a different way, which is why we're here in this mission to share with you as you listen what some options are, because this life that we're living now wasn't always our life. No. Right? And a lot of the grind that you and I went through has a lot of similarities, which is some of the things that we get to vibe on so much.
Totally.
So I think too, when we talk about something like last week's health retreat, health and wellness, and retirement, you mentioned, I think that's why people's health declines.
Totally.
I know
I
it's
know.
why people's health declines, right?
Totally.
They get to that point and they have no purpose. And so when they wake up in the morning, they're done reading the newspaper, proverbial. At this point, it's online. But they get to that point where they don't know what to do. They don't know how to spend their time. They have money now, but they don't have the health to travel the way they want to do. They don't have the functionality to be able to go do the cruises or the expeditions that they always wanted to do with the loved ones. Maybe one of their spouses passed away, and so they're actually alone, right? And so now that kind of unhappy feeling sets in, and ultimately sedentary lifestyle, right? So many people, as they get older, stop moving. And one of the things that I know from my past, just somebody in the health world as a massage therapist, you stop using it, you lose it. Right.
True.
In terms of your body, if you don't keep that memory muscle going, it's something that just leaves your brain, it leaves your lifestyle. And what happens when that happens? That's when illness sets in.
Totally.
And that's why ultimately waiting to 65 to live your best life is really not the answer, in my opinion. And that's why I think one of our friends, Garrett Gunderson's on a mission to retire retirement, because ultimately he knows that if you find a purpose bigger in your life now, there's nothing to retire from. You just continue to serve people.
Totally.
Somebody like Warren Buffett, who's got all the money in the world, he doesn't wake up in the morning and think about money. He loves what he does, and he gets joy out of figuring out the next angle, the next purpose of being able to take advantage of a market discrepancy, being able to add value to somebody's business that he recognizes is adding tons of value to the world, and he wants to invest in that and elevate them and elevate the purpose. And I mean, what a great way to be.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Like I think about it, like I can't even imagine retirement. Like the idea of like stopping work, like I just feel like I love what I do so much that I wouldn't ever want to stop. Like I might change how I do things and have a little more free time and spend time with grandkids later in life and and do some stuff like that. But to me, most of my fulfillment comes from helping people. Most of where I feel best out of my life is doing retreats like we just did, and like one-to-one conversations with people, and like seeing other people get results and seeing other people grow and expand and challenge themselves and break through, their own barriers and self-limiting beliefs and, achieve those breakthroughs. And like, why would I ever want to stop doing the thing that fills my cup the most, And I know not everybody does what we do, and they're not, if you're working as a bank teller, for instance, I'll just, that may not be the most fulfilling job, And so I would encourage you, if you're not fulfilled through that, find something that does that does fulfill you. Doesn't mean you need to quit your teller job, right? It just means that you need to be doing something intentionally that you can go out and create value around into somebody else's life, and then I promise you that value will come back to you.
You say that, and the first thing that pops to mind is when I've had that conversation with people, their question always is, well, Pete, how do I find something that fulfills me?
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Seriously?
Because what's fulfillment?
Yeah.
It's this illusion that seems like a kind of something that only some people have the opportunity to attain. And I think the reason for that is what we really started this conversation around. What are your values? What is it that you envision for your life? What is it that's most important to you? And if you don't have a grasp of that, then that's really where it starts, is getting down to the nitty gritty and figuring out what the purpose is, and not necessarily what's the purpose of my life, right? Because that's like a big question that sometimes bleeds into religion or spirituality. But ultimately, what is the things that will add value to others and bring value back to me?
So that inspired me to just think about something, but we're going to do another video now. And so I'm going to end this video on that statement. And we're going to come back and do another one. And we're going to kind of continue this conversation, but take it a little bit of a different direction. So if you found value in this video, please like and share and subscribe and hit the bell and all that fun stuff. If you want to see the next video, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. That way you're notified when it comes out in a couple days. And and then also, Pete here is launching his own YouTube channel. So I'm going to put a link down in the description below to Pete's channel. If you want to subscribe to that, I totally encourage you to do so. Go down, click on that link, go to his channel, hit the subscribe button. You'll be good to go. And that's it. So
Thanks, man.
Thanks, brother.
Great to be here.
Yeah, man. Awesome having you. So until next video, have a blessed, inspirational day. We'll see you then.